Shalom and welcome to all my brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for coming to this video, and I welcome you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for your time, and shalom to you. And I hope that tonight you have a beautiful Shabbat and you rest well physically, mentally, and spiritually. I was asked to speak about Karaites and Samaritans, the differences. I know the Samaritans very, very well. We were very, very close, me and the entire community. And I would like to speak a little bit about the differences between Karaites and Samaritans. Now, looking into this for about 2 years, very carefully into the teachings of the Samaritans and what they believe, I came to the conclusion that, so far, I'm not convinced that the Samaritan way is the absolute true way to follow because of several reasons I'll mention briefly in this video. I mean, this is a topic that requires several videos, but I'm going to do a brief explanation. So the Samaritan beliefs are that the Torah alone, of course, they have a different Torah that has some differences. It's not so significant, to tell you the truth. The only significant thing in their Torah that really is of great significance is that the claim in their Torah is that the 10th commandment is literally a commandment to keep Mount Gerizim holy for all time. Therefore, this is the differences that we have. Everything else is really minor. There's nothing major besides that one point. Secondly, as you look into it, it's very attractive. For example, they have now a museum in Israel that shows their entire history of over 3,000 years, going back to Moshe himself, which they very, very proudly say this disproves the claims made in Tanakh about the Samaritans. And some say that it's complete made up in the Tanakh. Some say that the ones spoken of as Samaritans were heretics. They weren't religious Samaritans. So therefore, they get lumped in with the stories in the Tanakh as if they were religious heretics or outsiders that just became Samaritans. So there's a lot of controversy there. That's a subject in itself. But that being the case, they do not accept the prophets or the writings. They only accept what the Torah itself. They do believe that the Yehoshua, the book of Joshua, is holy. They have their own version of Joshua in the ancient Hebrew. They don't believe in the prophets or the writings. They believe very viciously, adamantly, that King David was not a legitimate king. All the prophets in there, from Samuel to David to King Solomon, everyone down the line, Daniel, Jeremiah, every single one of them, they say no, nothing to do with Israel, and that they did a lot of things that were horrible, and King David shouldn't have been a king. And there's many accusations made against the Tanakh in general about the characters, the ones that we know and love and treasure of our blessed prophets. So at first, when I read a lot of their testimonies and claims about many of these blessed ones of blessed memory, they're pretty harsh stuff that they write. A lot of harsh stuff about King David and how he shouldn't have been the king because he was an adulterer. He had someone murdered, which is true. And they make it seem like he was just this cocky, just very self-serving, selfish king that didn't really care about the Torah. And when I looked into this, again, a lot of ones who were Karaite jumped over to the Samaritan boat and just said, that's it, jumping in, that's it. Mount Gerizim, their Torah is older, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, not so fast. I'm not really convinced that, we have a non-stop understanding of the Masoretic text, the Aleppo Codex, Dead Sea Scrolls. The Jews preserve their text beautifully. Just because a Samaritan text says something different than the Masoretic, I'm supposed to just throw it all away? It's not going to happen. Another thing, you look deeper into it, the Torah, even their Torah, says that we must wear blue tzitzit, fringes, on the four corners of our clothing. The Samaritans do not wear the blue on the tzitzit. They wear all white. And they also make the claim that, we don't know which dye to use. We don't know which materials to say. To me, this is not an answer. I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't say there what materials or what blue to wear. Now, if you think otherwise and you believe that it should be detailed, well, then so be it. But the point is, it says to wear blue for all time. You must wear a strand of blue, so therefore Karaites are doing that. So I don't accept that excuse that, we hear that from among our Orthodox brothers and sisters too, and that's okay, that's their tradition. I'm just saying, me as a Karaite, I cannot accept that. I believe the Karaites are doing it right by following the commandment of keeping the blue on the tzitzit, because it says so, even in their Torah. This was something I couldn't accept. I do not accept the fact that Samaritans refer to the name of Elohim as Shema. The name of Elohim is not Shema, nor are we dare to replace the Torah or replace the name of God. Now, they do use the name on special occasions, on the biblical holidays and things of such. I don't agree with this. I believe that we are supposed to use it in our prayers, in our daily life, of course, in holiness, not just for any random conversation. You must be very, very careful when using his name. I have no disagreement with this whatsoever. The name is the most holy. You must never utter his name. And listen carefully, those who are watching. Don't follow these name-happy sects and movements or whatever. Don't do that. There's only one unforgivable commandment, and that is to take up the name of Elohim in a worthless way. Never bring up his name, ever, unless it's a matter of holiness and prayer and study, or speaking among those who believe in the one true Elohim alone. Okay? So be very careful. But it does not mean replace his name with a title. I do not believe in this. Karaites believe very clearly that the name of Elohim is to be used. So there's another disagreement that I have. Samaritans believe that Mount Gerizim is the holy mount, whereas the Jews in general, every other sect, believes that no, the Temple Mount is the holy mountain of Elohim. The claim from the Samaritans is that the prophets were false prophets. They prophesied things that didn't happen, and that they were false prophets. Well, they make this accusation, but you find out by careful study that this is not true. The prophets made many prophecies that came to be fulfilled, and some that are yet to be fulfilled in this day and age and soon to come. So a lot of the attacks on the prophets and the kings of Israel they sound convincing when you first read and think about it, and people get convinced and fooled into going, you know what, they make a lot of sense, I'll jump off the book. And me, I'm not like that. I don't care what you're claiming. I'm going to look at it very carefully, because Elohim says in the Torah, I will send you prophets. And they're going to speak in my name. If you don't heed the words of the prophets that I will send among you, I will hold you responsible. I will hold you to it. So the fact of the matter is, they only believe that Joshua was the only follow-up to Moshe, nothing else. And that's unacceptable. The Torah says, no, I'm going to send you prophets. It doesn't say one. He should have just said, I'm going to send you Joshua. He's right there. And that's it. That's not what he says. Even in their Torah, it says, I'm going to send you prophets. They're going to be speaking in my name. If you will not listen to them, I will hold you responsible. So it's very, very serious. I do not accept that there was only one prophet. I said to them, when I speak to them, remember, I love them and I care for them, and we are so close. It doesn't matter. Whether we differ, it's irrelevant. I still love them and respect them just as I love my Orthodox brothers and sisters. We have our differences, but I really believe when the time comes, when Elohim chooses the day of when he will show himself, all will be put together, and we will put our differences aside and come together as one. This is what Malachi is speaking about in Malachi. When Elijah the prophet comes, that's what's going to happen. The unification of the families of Israel to understanding of what we're supposed to be doing, come together. I really believe, based on everything that I've ever studied throughout the years, that we all have our differences in our different sects. They're not very different, but I think all those things will be put together and understood in that time. Now, one of the problems that I have with the Samaritan claims is that, the illegitimate kings in our Tanakh. Well, I asked the question, well, where was your king? Where is your king? And they say, we never had a king. And I said, well, the Torah says very carefully, when the king is to sit on the throne, he is to make a copy of this Torah. Where was your king? They didn't have a king. Ever. That's a problem. Because the Torah specifically says that there would be kings. And when he comes, he's supposed to write a copy of the Torah. They never had a king. There's many things that just don't fall in line. They have great arguments, okay? Many great arguments, but there are a lot of flaws. There's a lot of holes when you look deeper into the theology. Now, I love them and respect them and very close to them, but I do not believe that their views are the most rational. I believe that it's very clear that the Karaim, the true Karaites, who believe in true Karaism, not KJU, but real Karaism, we got it right. We're trying to do things the right way. To follow Elohim and the prophets of blessed memory the best way we can, and to follow the Torah closely and carefully, and to keep his name and preserve his name holy. And we reject traditions that go against the Torah. If the Torah says we must wear blue on the seat, it's a must. There's no dancing around it. I find it hard to believe that Elohim did not put in the Torah, you must use a certain material or a certain dye for the seat, when he specifically says which material not to use when mixing clothing. Wool and linen, that's very clear. But yet for the seat, he doesn't make it clear. There are many other things. I don't want to make this a very long video, but we do have many differences. The major differences is that they do not accept the prophets of blessed memory and those who wrote, for example, the Job and Book of Psalms, and all of it. They reject all of it. And I'm sorry, I cannot accept that. It doesn't make any sense. They don't have an alternative. Also, their hope for the future is very disheartening. Because I asked them, I said, we're hoping for the new world and God's kingdom, and also for the nations. It's not just about Israel, it's about the nations of the world, the righteous people of all the nations. What happens to them in the end of days? What is your beliefs based on your traditions? They said, it's not about that. It's just about, all of Israel coming together to follow the true Samaritan way of our Torah and follow our way. I'm like, okay, well then what? What about the nations? And not specifically, but they basically says it doesn't really matter. They'll join us. They'll see that we're doing the truth, and they'll join us. I'm like, well, what about the earth? What about all the disasters, the wars, and all the problems going on? You're telling me God's not going to fix this according to your theology? According to what kind of hope is that? There must be more. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. A rational person does not believe that the only thing to hope for is that we're going to keep the Torah more carefully, and the heck with the rest of the nations. The heck with the rest of it. It's just about Israel. No, it's not about Israel. We are all children of God. Every single person breathing with life in their soul. Those who are righteous, not wicked people. The wicked rulers and the wicked people of this earth will be no more. But there are good people all over this earth that are hoping and wishing for the earth to be transformed back to the way God made it in the beginning. And this is what the prophets prophesied, that one day this whole earth, it will be rid of wickedness and evil and corruption under the dominion of Elohim, of God himself. This resonates with every single human being. Regardless of our background, regardless of our theologies, we all, deep down in our hearts, hope for a better future. We worry about our children, our families. We lost loved ones. We hope to see them come back again, or see them again. What do we have in the prophets? The hope of the resurrection. We have the hope that the earth will beat their swords into plowshares from the prophets themselves of blessed memory. Elohim says that all the nations shall come together as one with Israel and live in peace. The wicked will be wiped out. And we will all live together in joy and happiness, see our loved ones come back from the dead. He will raise up the third and final temple. For all of humanity, not just for Israel. It's not just about Israel. Read Isaiah 56. The first several verses, it says, for my house of prayer shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. That the nations, the righteous of the nations, are welcome into his temple when it's built. Their sacrifices and their burnt offerings will be accepted at my altar. He loves you. It's it's not just about Israel, the only thing that we were chosen for. This is all that we were chosen for. We're not chosen to give technology and to pump our chests out to think we're better than everyone. That's not what it's about. The whole point of being chosen was to be a kingdom of priests, to teach people about Elohim, that He is the only God. Only His name must be praised on our lips, Yehovah alone, and no other. To not worship idols or images of a man. No, the one eternal one, He alone. All the nations of the earth will come together as one in the time that God chooses. Only Elohim can fix this earth back to what it used to be. And this is what we hope for. And I love my Samaritan brothers and sisters. I love my Orthodox brothers and sisters. I believe in the time of Elijah, when he comes, that this will all be settled out. We're not going to be killed, destroyed because we have differences. I believe that this will all come together. We will all come together as one. And also, the beautiful people all over the earth, of every background, of every color, all the righteous will inherit this earth and be at peace with one another. In Isaiah chapter 11, it speaks about even the animal kingdom will be at peace. Everything will come back to the source of what it always was. We are not living in the earth that God intended us to live in. Everything is backwards. It's corrupt. Wickedness of man is just so abundant. We need Elohim to change, to help make this world a better place. But we ourselves, again, I don't say we wait on Elohim. We ourselves have responsibilities to do our part while we are here. If there's someone freezing on the side of the road, give them a blanket. Go to a Walmart or anywhere. Get blankets. Put blankets on a cold person on the streets. Feed a hungry mouth. Go volunteer to help an orphan. Go into a retirement home and talk with one of the elders. That generation will not be here very soon. Take in all the knowledge you can of these wise ones from times past. Do your part. Help those who are disabled. Help the widows, those who lost their husbands, or even the husbands that lost their wives. Care for those weakest members of society, those the brokenhearted. That's what Elohim wants us to do on this earth. The more we do that, the more we are kissing God, our Father. He says, just as I clothe the naked, you clothe the naked. Just as I feed the hungry, you feed the hungry. And so on and so forth. So to bring this all back together, yes, we have differences with the Samaritans, right? Their vision is something that I looked into deeply, and I don't see that I can follow this theology because it just doesn't measure out. It just doesn't work. There's a lot of holes. It sounds very convincing. It sounds very convincing, very powerful, that they've never stopped keeping the whole entire Torah or their understanding of Torah. They're not waiting for a temple, so therefore they're keeping all the commandments. So it's very attractive. Ooh, let's go with real Israel who don't have a broken temple. But what happens is when you look deeper and you study carefully what exactly their beliefs are and why, and you ask the right questions and question these things and put them to the test, you find out that it just doesn't bear out. And I'm not convinced that they are the absolute ones that are doing the right thing. They're well-meaning and they're beautiful people, and I love them dearly, very much so. The Karaites are really doing it the best they can. And Kara is the term for Tanakh. Karaim are scripturalists. We are trying to follow the best of our abilities, the words of Elohim. Tanakh is the authority. God is the authority. And He gave His words in Tanakh, in the Hebrew Scriptures, through His prophets of blessed memory. And we must not reject His prophets. We must understand that the message is clear, the message of hope, peace, and the future for all mankind, all of God's children, is in the Hebrew Scriptures. So therefore, I hope this video was helpful. Look into this stuff for yourselves. Nothing I tell you is what I believe. I mean, it is my view, but it's based on research. I don't tell anyone not to look this up. Please look this up. Please look into this. But I ask you to please be very careful before you jump ships and just choose any random direction. There are so many, now it's just so abundant now to see just people inventing their own theology and believing in their own beliefs. They're literally in their own man-made cults. They're always talking about, well, I'm not in a religion, I don't need a man-made religion. That's always thrown around very fluently. Man-made religions. They lump Judaism, man-made religion. Judaism is not a man-made religion. There is no man that made up I always ask them, what man made up Judaism? Who? It's not man-made religion. It goes back to Sinai. There is no man-made religion. Who invented Judaism? I dare anyone to ask that. You'll never get an answer. And don't tell me the first person who wrote the Talmud made Judaism. That's nonsense. That's the first time it was written down. No. The faith of Israel goes back to Mount Sinai. Though we have branches of a little bit of differences, we all can still talk peacefully. I could speak to my Samaritan brothers and sisters. I could speak to my Orthodox brothers and sisters. I could speak to my Ethiopian brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters, any of Israel, real Israel. We can all come together in love and peace. And although we have our differences, we still love each other and talk amongst each other in peace. And can come together and agree on many things and disagree on other things. But I really truly believe in making my final statement that all things will be made clear when Elohim decides it's time. Until then, we have a responsibility to do everything we can to follow Elohim and his words and the words of the prophets that he sent to us, and do the best we can. And also, not just that, not just keeping Torah, because any Tom, Dick, or Harry can keep the Torah. That's not impressive. You have to go beyond keeping the Torah by caring about human beings, caring about this earth, making heaven on this earth, not waiting for it. Do your part. Put your stamp on your life. Don't waste a day. Every single day is an opportunity for you to start making a difference in someone's life. You could change a life simply by caring, giving a hug to someone, saying, I care about how you feel. I'm so sorry to hear that you're suffering. I care. My prayers go out to you. Or putting a blanket over someone, feeding someone. You can affect someone forever. That's more important than just keeping Torah. That is much more important and mentioned more times in the Torah as a mitzvot than any other mitzvah or commandment in the Torah, is to care for those weakest members of this earth. Shalom, and I hope this was helpful, and have a blessed day. Enjoy your Shabbat. Thank you.